In today's video, I'm going to talk about the meditation that I've done the last 60 days, what I've noticed from it, how you can do it. By the end of this video, you're going to know how to do this meditation, the variations of the meditation, but you're not going to know what it's going to do to you until you try it. This is Ryan. Welcome to my channel. Before I get started with that, though, I do want to talk about some of the other meditations I have done over the last 20 years. I was listening to Wayne Dyer at the time. I was getting all the information from him. I was looking into meditation because I was really having a lot of issues in my life that I've always had. And I'm going to talk more about that in videos after this. So the first one I started was just sitting on my bed upright. I didn't have any kind of like special equipment or anything like that. I was just sitting on my bed. And you would breathe in for a count of 2. So 1, 2. And then you would exhale for a count of 4. Because when you do that, the exhale is, if the exhale is longer than the inhale, supposedly it calms your body down, but you have to breathe in through the diaphragm. You have to breathe in from the pelvic floor, essentially. Otherwise, this isn't going to work at all. So you have to breathe in from the pelvic floor, and you breathe in for 2. You exhale for 4. Ideally, you would breathe in for the nose for 2, and you would exhale through the mouth for the 4. The other meditation that I did, there's probably 4 or 5 that I'm going to mention here. The other meditation is one that I really didn't like, but I did hear about, so I figured I would give it a shot. Speaking of shot, basketball has a 24-second clock right above the basketball hoop. So during that 24 seconds, you close your eyes, you visualize that board, you visualize 24 seconds in front of you, and you start counting down to 0. Your goal in this meditation is to not have a single thought in between going from 24 to 23 or from 23 to 22. But if you do have a thought of any kind, you have to start off at 24 again. So you could get down all the way to 1. And if you have a thought, you got to go back to 24. I didn't really like that meditation, but it is one to kind of clear the head. However, I don't think that's a really good idea because you're really not letting go of anything. You're not really doing anything. You're just having a space in your head where all you're thinking about is these numbers. I'm not really a fan of that one. The other one I tried, and again, I'm not the biggest fan of, but this one I liked a lot more, is you envision yourself as a pebble. You're a pebble. You're being dropped into a body of water, whatever body of water did you want that to be. That could be a puddle on the ground, if that's where you want to start. It could be the deepest ocean that you've ever seen in your life. One of the ones that I actually like to visualize was being dropped into a river, because there's so many different variations of things in the rivers. There's tall, grass, there's leaves, there's fish, there's all kinds of things. So I imagine somebody in a boat dropping me in the river, and I visualize myself what I would see during the entire time. I would visualize myself before I hit the water, after I hit the water, what I saw in the water. And you can really have at this. You can really go into some extreme detail. By the time you're done, you realize that you haven't really been thinking about anything but that pebble. But again, you're really not letting go of what's causing the issue. The next technique that I used was leaving the planet mentally. What I would do is I would get in a closet, a dark closet or a dark room. I really needed dark. What you do is you sit on the ground. You visualize yourself leaving your body, then you visualize yourself going through the floor above you, and if there's another one above you, and then through the roof, and then you visualize seeing the roof, and you visualize everything that you would see on your way to outer space. And that technique is quite amazing. I use it too often now, though. Like I'm too good at that. When I'm in a stressful situation, I can pop out of my body so quickly. But it's kind of like having a controller to your body that has like a corroded connection or something like that. Things barely happen. So I try to stay grounded now, because that meditation is great. But if you're really good at it, it can be detrimental. The next technique is letting go. And I'm not going to talk about that in this video. I'm going to talk about that in its entire video. I've read the book 3 times now. That is probably the best one, although it does take a bit. It takes some courage to really have the ability to just let those thoughts through, not distract yourself. But I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But the technique that I'm going to talk about now is the technique that I've done for the last 60 days. So the technique that I was talking about is when you would ideally take some kind of candle. Now the candle can be any color that you like. It can be any kind of candle. that really doesn't matter. You just have to have a candle, right? So let's imagine this is a candle, and what you would do is you would breathe in, and as you breathe in, you kind of see everything expanding, but you realize that you come in inwards. Now, one of the best things you can do is visualize like a tiny circling flame in your heart chakra, and it's circling. And every time you breathe in, that little flame grows because, oxygen makes, fire grow. You visualize this, and every time you breathe in, you realize that you're part of yourself. But as you breathe out, you look away from the flame. And as you look away from the flame, you realize that you're part of the whole as well. But there is really no separation from the whole, but you are also your individual self. So as you do this, you breathe in, and you can see everything expanding if you do this correctly, and you just visualize either the energy coming in through your heart chakra, through any of your chakras. You can visualize it coming through your arms, just one arm. You can visualize it if your liver's hurting, maybe you can visualize it through your liver. If you have issues with your legs, you can visualize this energy coming in through your legs. And the more you do this, the more that will oxygenate your blood, and the more healing it is. Now, I think why this technique is so effective is because it uses a flame. And if you look at human history, flame has always been something that has helped us out, unless something happened to your house, or there was a terrible accident, or flame can also be bad. But it goes back to the primordial, primal existence that we had when we were living in caves or other dwellings, where our existence was really based on if we could start a fire or not, depending on where you were, because creatures are not going to come near a flame. They're terrified of it. Now, if there's enemies that are human, that might also signal where you are, but you got to take your chances, right? So, and it creates a time when things weren't so busy. We didn't have 30 billion decisions to make over a year. We didn't have a constant, online with our phones. We didn't have all of this. We didn't drive. We couldn't be across the entire globe in a day. So this brings us back, because we pass this stuff down genetically from generation to generation to generation. There's a part of you that remembers when you had that flame in front of you every night, because that was your survival. It's calming. There's a part of you that remembers a time when you had a couple decisions to make during the day, if that. You just had to find something to eat. And if you were agricultural, you already knew what you were going to eat. So your day was pretty simple. You basically woke up, did sex or whatever, and you ate at night. I mean, it sounds like paradise to me. But it brings you back to that when you're staring at a flame. There's another variation of this that I've done, and I kind of like it more, because if you're somebody who has high cortisol, if you're somebody who is stuck in fight or flight, if you're somebody who is always on edge, this other technique, thinking about that breathing and breathing out and staring at the flame and not staring at the flame and all that, that might actually make things worse. So the one technique that I actually use is I just have it in front of me. I just have it in front of me, and I just stare at the flame for 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is, starting off my day and ending my day. It's calming. It has a calming effect. Now, it doesn't clear your head of the thoughts you might have for the most part, but it can. It doesn't have some of the strength of some of the other techniques, but this is a really good technique. If you're really having a hard time, if you just you're a million places in your head. If you just stare at the flame, those million places start just staring at the flame too, and your brain will start getting rid of some of those million places that you have to be. It might not get rid of everything, but over the last 60 days, it certainly has helped me, because, I always have these thoughts going on. When you're self-employed, when you're running a YouTube channel, when you're doing all these things, there's no certainty in life. So you always have all these thoughts running through your brain, and this has definitely helped me get rid of some of those thoughts that I have going on in my head. So whatever variation you want, it could actually be a bonfire. I've never tried it, but if you're in an area where you can make a bonfire at night and just have a group of people doing this, that you agree that there's going to be no talking. You're just going to do this technique. Maybe it worked. Maybe there's a consciousness that will happen there. Maybe there's a knowing that will happen there. You know, you just never know. Maybe it'll create that effect that it used to have back when we were just sitting in a cave with a flame. Maybe it'll have that. I don't know. But what I have used is just, white candles. I feel like that's all encompassing. White is basically every single color all in one. And it just is what it is. If you want me to do a guided meditation on that, I can. I'm not a huge fan of guided meditations because I feel like you become dependent on the guided meditation and you don't do it for yourself. You don't do it for your own well-being. And I think that it becomes another reliance. And I don't think it's a very good idea. So I didn't do a guided meditation in this. I think it's better if you just do it on your own. Create your own version of this. Maybe just start off with 5 minutes. Don't time it. So anyway, in my mind, that's the best way to do this is either version. Try both versions out. See which one you like more. Like I said, if you're somebody who's always stuck in different loops, maybe just staring at the flame will just do what it needs to do. But maybe you also need to do the breathing technique because maybe that'll actually help you out. Either way. Try it out. Let me know down in the comments section. Have you tried this before? Have you seen it before? Let me know if you've got along with it, if you like it, maybe a different variation that you found. Leave that down in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you in the next video.